This week, we explore the world of Fae, and then we jump into some indie gaming news and discuss the topics of Sea of Thieves, and then also video games being a subscribed service in the future and what our thoughts on that would be. So sit back, relax, turn the volume up, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Real Dudes Podcast. Only the ritziest podcast in the podcast world of podcasting. My name is Kyle, and with me I got Cody.
I'm done. That was weird. I'm sorry.
And with Cody, he's got Carrington. And Carrington's holding Andrew's hand.
No, he's not. And Andrew's with Cody on this one.
Did I miss a week and then you just went full robot
no, Cody,
or something?
this is no. Trust me. I would totally be honest with you. They just went off the reservation just then.
If I would have known.
Come on, guys! I just want to try a new voice every episode. That's my goal for 2018.
Well, you know more power to you, but I'm not taking a part of that insanity.
No.
That's 2 episodes in a row. I think I can do another one next
I went with
episode.
you on the last one, dude, but that was too far.
All aboard the voice train.
Anyway.
So, guys, what's been up?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and, everything in between.
Cool. I think we've got an exciting show today. We have a game that I've been looking forward to since the year 2016.
Gasp.
And that game would be Fee, or Fae. Is it Fee or Fae?
I
We'll
say Fae.
Fae. So this game was announced at E3, E3 2016.
Our
think
first year.
it was on E3. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was right because I remember discussing that. And it is developed by Zoink Games, and it is a part of EA's Originals program where they back indie devs and help them get their game published.
That's super cool.
Yep. It is a 3D platformer. You play as Fae, who is a little creature that I would say resembles a fox, maybe?
Yeah, I would say a fox.
Yeah, it's like a bipedal fox, I guess, since a lot of times you're on 2
Either
legs.
that or it's a giant flying squirrel. One or
Fair
the
enough.
other. Yeah. The premise of the game is the area where you live, it's a heavily wooded area, is, I guess, being attacked by or taken over by some quote-unquote alien species. And you are trying to help all your little critter friends get saved and not get captured by these things, these robot beings.
They were robots?
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe.
Play the game and you'll know.
Yeah.
I did. For a while.
But what happened, Cody?
Nothing. My computer broke.
Oh, is it because you threw your controller through the screen?
Was there some kind of thing flying through your monitor?
Just my face.
Well, that's weird.
Well, he wouldn't want to break a controller. His face will heal. Come on.
Yeah. It's only a few $1,000s to fix a face. Yeah.
Unless it's already broken, and then you don't got to worry about it.
I do have an ugly mug. So.
True. How many times do you rage quit a week and then multiply that by the times your face has been broken and then multiply that by the dollars that you have saved?
By switching to Geico.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyways, back on track. So yeah, I was blown away personally when I first saw this game announced a couple years ago, and I've been trying to keep on track with it ever since. It kind of went dead with no announcements. I thought that it was one of those E3 games that had got lost and we would never see again. But surprisingly, was it mid 2017? We had an announcement. about it,
Yes,
and
sir. Yes, sir.
immediately I got excited again. And day one it came out, I started playing it, and it's a beautiful game. I've heard some people say they aren't super excited about the art direction that it went towards, but for me, I like it. It's very different from any other kind of 3D platformer that we've seen before. Would you guys agree? As far as the art direction
Yeah.
goes?
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's gorgeous. The thing that stood out to me the most out of the game was not the gameplay, was not the art style, but the sound. The soundtrack itself was just very soothing, and every time that cello would come on and start playing its notes, it would send chills down my spine, and I don't know, I loved it. The way that you communicate with the other animals is through song, I guess you would say, or their language, and you would basically hum out the way that they speak. You would sing to the birds through chirping and whatnot.
I will say
I thought that was
I did like that aspect to it, as far as like an artsy, abstract game is concerned. I'd like that as a creature in the forest. I had to learn the language of the land.
Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting way of communicating and getting those cool little critters on your side. Carrington, what did you play on?
I played on PC.
What did the rest of you guys play on?
Andrew?
PlayStation.
Kyle?
Cody,
Stefan?
you played
I
on
played
PC,
on
didn't
PC.
you? So I played on Switch,
Got a nice variety there.
and I don't know if it did it with anything else, but with the Switch, it used the motion control for communicating with the animals.
Not mine. Not on my end.
So you would take the Joy-Cons, and you know how usually, I guess it would be with the other ones, the right thumbstick or maybe the mouse wheel.
It was the mouse itself.
See,
Okay.
on PC, I play with my Xbox controller, so I can give that aspect to it.
So instead of using the thumbstick, which you could set an option for, on the Switch, you would just slightly tilt your Joy-Con back or forth to get the note that you needed, which was really neat. It wasn't neat whenever I had the Joy-Cons hooked up to the screen, because then I was tilting the whole screen like away from me or towards me. But I liked how they added that into the actual gameplay as far as it goes. I didn't have a whole lot of frustration going in, like playing with the 3D platforming elements to the game. I've heard other people say that it was pretty janky, but for me, as far as my experience goes, it wasn't too terrible. Did you guys experience anything that was rage-inducing?
Cody.
No, I had a pretty calm gaming experience.
Okay.
Now, there were parts where the direction in which to travel is very linear, and
Right.
I didn't get that as much. Or it's like it tells you to do like go here, but not what to do here.
Yeah.
And then I spend forever trying to figure it out and dying. And my kill count was like 20 by the time I quit. Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Without trying to spoil anything, how far did you get?
I learned how. Oh God.
How many? Well, all right. So how many songs had you learned at
2.
that point?
Okay.
Okay. That's good. Because the game's, it took me about 4 hours to beat, I think.
Yeah.
I'd say that's about right.
I was thinking 3 to 4.
Did you guys have any problems with the platforming?
It felt like a rubber ducky bummer banana.
Rubber duck bummer.
Someone, okay, so
I don't even know how to
we're
comprehend
streaming
that.
and someone asked me to say that, so shout out to who's ever in chat. So I said it, boom.
Thank you.
All right, seriously though, I didn't have any problems with the platforming per se. I did have a few instances where I just I couldn't tell where I was in relation to the world itself. Like there would be times where I would be like gliding and trying to get onto a tree, and I would completely miss it. And it's just because of how the camera was and how the controls were. But I didn't feel like it hindered my experience.
You think it was more user? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's kind of the same thing. A few slightly frustrating things about, landing on a tree when you're gliding, but I would say 99% didn't have any real impact on how I viewed it, and it felt pretty solid as far as the platforming. I did have one or two times I ran into like a glitch and got stuck in a wall and had to restart the game, but I think it was maybe twice, but not too bad.
Yeah. I had that same problem too, except I think mine was in between a rock and like
Between a rock and a hard place.
crack. Yep, exactly. That is as literal as it could get. But I didn't have a huge problem with the platforming. Now I feel like it was kind of bland as far as it goes. My favorite thing about the entire experience of platforming, and you have different elements as far as unlock with the voices. You can unlock certain things to make you jump higher or float in the air. Just climbing the trees and coasting from tree to tree was my favorite thing throughout the game.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree.
Agreed with that. And the moment when you're climbing like the big giant deer thing to get to the top was probably the most epic and rewarding thing in the entire game. And that happens within the first hour.
Did you love that?
Yes. I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
It was because as you were climbing, like the music, it started off kind of like with the one cello, and as you got higher, like more instruments were joining, and so the music kept getting grander and grander. And as a puzzle / platforming thing, I think that it was able, like I thought that's how the rest of the game was going to play out. Like,
me too.
And so that was.
So, Carrington, there's this game called Shadow of the Colossus where it allows you to do that about a dozen plus times.
Touche, good sir. Touche.
Yeah.
I will be checking it out soon. Don't worry.
Yeah. So that specific point in the game reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus, and I wish they had played more with that. I wish there was more sections where you were jumping on giant animals, platforming your way up to the top to communicate with them, and maybe that was a spoiler, but anyways, it was definitely one of the most epic moments in the game. The ending was satisfying, but I feel like when looking at the story as a whole as well, it was bland to me. It wasn't as deep as I wanted it to be, and I don't know. It didn't catch my attention in the way that I thought it would.
So have you guys? Andrew, I know you have, but have either of you seen the movie Arrival?
No. What is it?
I have not.
Don't worry about it. Don't waste your time.
See, Andrew was not a fan, but
I've heard.
I loved it because it's a movie about the importance of language and how it's important for us to come together and the power of language and how powerful it can be. That's what I thought Faye was going to be about, and it was not. And that's what I was something that was very, very disappointed with it.
Yeah. And that's what let me down the most. Between that and the platforming, just real quick, jumping right back to the platforming, I missed a point. They build up on jumping and climbing on trees and stuff, and then running around as the animal was so boring. Like, there was no dashing or anything. It's just so very slow and very boring, and that was the letdown. But like you said, Carrington, I thought this whole game was going to build more around the language and uniting through that language, and in a way, it does play a huge role with learning other animals' languages, but once you learn them, it doesn't do a whole lot after that.
Yeah, I can agree. And two, I thought the enemies in the game, because there was a lot of stealth-like missions that were unexpected.
A lot more than I thought was going to be. Yeah.
I didn't think it played out very well, because there were times where they could not see me, but other times they could, and I just thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yep, I encountered that one.
Yep. I think towards the end there were a couple moments where I was hiding in a bush and an enemy walked up to me and kind of just kicked me out of the bush.
Yeah. I don't know if that was an AI thing or if that was on purpose or by accident. I have no idea.
It never happened to me.
And it's, it might have. I don't know if it might have, just been a bug or what, but it never happened towards the beginning of the game or the middle of the game. But definitely, that there maybe like the third to last puzzle where the dogs keep coming back over and over. That's where I kept getting kicked out of the bush, and it was annoying. Very annoying.
Yeah, no, it was like you guys said. You kind of covered a lot of it, but it was all right. I think the high points. I wasn't as taken by the music as I have been in some previous games we've covered by any stretch. But the art style was visually striking. I thought. The color palette was pretty cool. And I'm like you, Kyle. I think the gliding was like the best part as far as mechanically.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Did you now going back to the art direction? It was beautiful for maybe the first hour, and then after a while, I keep going back to this word, but did you find it bland after a while?
It was
because it was very repetitive,
monotone. I mean, obviously, purple was the kind of their base, and I think it probably went a little far. I definitely could see that. Yeah, if you wanted to kind of put one general negative on the game, is that it's just kind of monotone in general. There's just not a lot of variety to it. The story, like you said, is as basic as they come. Also, so I guess you could say bland, like you said once again. Like I said, I found the gliding was fun. The gliding, specifically when you had to sing essentially to the those orange flowers that basically gave you an updraft. That was my favorite part. There's actually a part I didn't realize it was actually an achievement. At least it was on PlayStation, where you like jump down off of this waterfall basically, and you sing, and I kept finding orange flowers and kept flying, and I actually ended up getting achievement when I finally landed, because I guess it was like the longest run in the game, or as far as like that setup was the longest run you could do or whatever. So I was like, oh sweet. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I've been thinking about how our ratings, I know we usually let one person rate them, but why don't we all give the games in the future a rating, and then we can come up with an aggregate? I know this is kind of a, maybe we can cut this out if this is too.
I think if we all play the game, we can definitely do that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
So I guess
Cody's going to give it a 1.
So
then he gives it a 1.
Let's temper it now then.
But
I mean, we could start with this episode if you want. I don't care.
I think we pretty much covered it without getting super spoiler, and that's the thing on this game too.
Yeah.
I think as that it's a shorter game and doesn't have a ton of content variation, we probably shouldn't say a whole lot more, else they basically would have no need to play it.
And I don't think this game is very replayable.
No, it's. I mean, I think it's for the money. If it's your kind of thing, it's like I said, it's a little artsy. If you like those kind of games, you like to support indie studios and all that, I think it's worth a playthrough. But yeah, you're not going to replay it very often, if ever.
I had 2 side points I want to bring out during this discussion. One was what you just hit, the money. $20 for the game. I do think it's worth it. It is a complete game. I didn't experience a whole lot of bugs. If you like 3D platformers, and you are on a budget, then I think it's a good $20 game. But if you can spend a little extra money, and I still have yet to play it, if you want a good platformer and you haven't played it yet, you probably want to get like Mario Odyssey.
Oh, good. Yes, it's an awesome 3D platformer.
See, and that's what I was thinking. So Mario Odyssey is super well praised. If you've never played it, I think that would be a good game for a platformer. But then again, this game, $20 is a reasonable price for it.
Well, and honestly, we are so in, whether it's cinema or in regard to video games, any type of entertainment that's, kind of in that same vein, we're just drowning in rehashes and like franchises and all that kind of stuff. So just on the strength of the fact that it's an original, an original idea and did have some cool aspects to it that, they could potentially build on in the future. Who knows? I think that's a selling point of it as well.
And even if you have played Mario and you're thirsting for more 3D platformers, and I would back this game. I would suggest this to somebody. Hey, if you like 3D platformers, you should try this out.
But I would say I think the biggest thing is like there's like no story really other than the most basic, and like it is pretty much directionless. I mean, you can like there's a few little things you can use, which I won't say, just give no more away. But it's kind of directionless, and the story is very minimalist. So it's more about.
I never used the map.
Yeah, well, I did, but it's still.
I never let go of the map.
Did you? I still couldn't. I didn't find it useful. I just kind of ran around until I found the next
I thought it was
point.
very useful. Yeah, no, I think it was worthwhile. I honestly, I think that's my. Yeah, it's. I don't know how I want to put this. It was very minimalist. I guess that's just the only way to put it, and it was more, I guess, about being in the moment with that game, and don't really look too far ahead, or there was no overarching thing that I mean, once again, in the most basic sense, yes, but overall, I thought it was just kind of one of those in the moment type things. I
will say that it tried to do something similar that Rhyme did when it tried to tell its story, because Rhyme used, hieroglyphics and pictures and things like that to tell its story.
Oh, yeah.
And Faye tried to do the same thing, but I couldn't gather the story from it. And that was the problem with it.
Yeah,
there were so many of them in the world. I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this hieroglyphic? And then I look at it and I'm like, I have no idea.
It's a circle with stick figures and... Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, like, I could tell what each thing represented, but I couldn't tell the story it was trying to tell through it. And that was, to me, that's the problem.
I'm sure there's some Reddit post somewhere that's got it all broken down.
Yeah. And I did like, but I also did not understand. I don't know if you guys, went through it, but I found every single, I guess, bubble you could find and where you could transform into the creatures that were after you. Yeah, I did like them, but I also didn't understand at the same time. And I realized that it's something that's already happened, and you're kind of reliving it. But I also didn't get what it was trying to tell through that whole thing.
I have a theory, but we can discuss it offline.
Yeah,
you don't want to discuss it on the show?
No, I don't want to discuss. I mean, I think it's too much of a giveaway at that point. Like I said, there's just not a lot to. There's not a lot of meat to this game, so I don't want to. We've picked it about as much as I think we should.
So the other point I wanted to bring out was I listened to Gamerhead's podcast, the most recent one, where it talks about retro games making a comeback, and they had mentioned, is that something that we would really want? Do we really want a SNES game coming back with the complete mechanics that it had, the flaws that it came with? We want a, late 90s, mid 90s 3D platformer to come back with the broken mechanics that it had. When I was playing this game, it made me think of that. Like I said, there weren't a whole lot of broken mechanics to it, but with the graphics that it had, it did, in a way, with all the jagged edges, it reminded me of a mid 90s platformer, a little more polished, of course, though. Would you guys want to see that? Like, and it's kind of far-fetched from the actual subject of the game itself, but it made me think about that. Would you guys want to see actual retro games make a comeback? Like, do you think that there is a market for that right now?
No.
I can agree with that.
Okay.
No, well, the thing is, I think they were great for their time. I'm sure there's a lot of fond memories for a lot of people, myself included. But at the end of the day, I don't know that they've aged particularly gracefully.
Okay.
And I will say, too, real quick, because I played on PC. Every time I play on a PC game, the first thing I go to are the options to see what's open to me. Mm-hmm. As a PC game, there was almost nothing you could change. Yeah, I was very highly disappointed. You could change the particles. That was it.
Huh. Did you get frame rate issues?
Kind of.
I had a few, yeah.
How about you, Cody?
A couple.
Your system is beefier than mine, and
really
that I think slightly.
Oh, jeez. I don't think so.
No, yeah,
I don't remember.
I
your
had quite a
specs.
bit.
I think the biggest time I
I-
noticed it is just like, especially like if you were gliding and you went, or if you just like turned around really fast sometime, especially in an area that kind of had a lot going on, it would sometimes, you'd have issues.
Now, I do have a quick question for you.
Handheld and docked, I had frame
Okay,
rate
that was
issues,
gonna be my
and it
question.
was more apparent towards the end of the game.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Anywho, let's do this.
All right, so thinking about the game itself, the score that I wanted to give it was a even 7.
Okie dokie. Kyle. Not Kyle. Cody, sorry. We can edit that out. Wow.
An even 7,
I didn't hear you.
Andrew.
Sorry, moving on.
I'd say about a 4.
Okay.
I was gonna give it a 6.
All right. 5.5.
And then
Wow.
I am going to score everything together real quick. So just to be clear, Kyle gave it a 7.
4 plus
7,
Cody
4, 6, 5.5.
5.
22.5 divided
22
by
and a half
4.
Divided by 4.
And 18
Roughly.
out of a possible 40.
What?
What?
A perfect score from all of us would have been 40. 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10.
Oh, heck no. That's not what I was thinking. Out of 10.
No, yeah.
You're going to screw with us here. So 22
Hold
and a
on.
half divided
Yeah,
by
I can't-
4.
I don't know how to bring that down.
5.625.
Yeah,
There you go. Thank you, Cody.
5.6 is our median.
okay.
There we go.
There we go.
5.6 out of
5.6.
10.
Wow.
Sorry, Kyle.
That's
I
about.
think that's fair.
I think that's about right because looking at Metacritic and a lot of the other outlets, they've been giving it right around between 5s and 6.5s.
And mine might go up when I actually play more and finish the game, but
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
I was satisfied with the end. I'll just put it there. Yeah, that whole last puzzle was not
I
bad.
will say the credits were amazing.
Yeah, it was
have
pretty
to
cool.
make it to the end.
Yeah, you can just look it up
It
on
was just an
YouTube, I'm
experience
sure.
that I enjoyed. It was the experience overall that I enjoyed. It didn't add anything to it. Like I had already given my score by the time I got to that point.
Okay.
Well, we didn't give it a Kraken, so our last episode's theory didn't pass
No,
through.
and that's what really disappointed me because with Rhyme, coming out last year and Celeste this year, I'm like, man, I have high hopes for Faye because I feel like
Yeah.
it's gonna bring something new to the table and do something that's going to like Rhyme was about grief, Celeste was about depression and mental issues, and I felt Faye was gonna be about communication and take it to the next level.
Faye
and
is
then
about child
It just
abuse.
did not bring it.
Oh God. No, I think that in all seriousness, I think that's the issue, Carrington. I think you're absolutely is games that kind of put you in the same mindset of, or at least in the vicinity of it, just went so much deeper. And maybe I'm just like super ignorant over here, and there's actually way more to it, and somebody will point that out. But yeah, from what I got out of it, and apparently you guys as well, there just wasn't a lot of depth to it, and not a lot of layers. And I think that's what we seem to really be drawn to, especially with these indie games. Like, they don't always have the horsepower to wow us with graphics and epic fight scenes or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
Or just even like cinematography type shots. So they have to fall back to things like the fundamentals, your story and your mechanics, and especially on the story, and to a certain extent. A certain extent, yeah. It didn't hit the points that it needed to hit. For what it is.
Yeah.
And I will say I was confused by some of the text in the game too, because it was like, oh, you speak to an adult and you can learn its language, and I'm like, well, what have I been speaking to this entire time? Are they babies?
Yeah.
Maybe it is about child
I think
abuse.
the giant deer is the adult.
Kyle, I think you hit it on that. It is about. It's like, here, little creature. Here, I have candy for you.
And then, never mind. That bird, the scene with the bird was pretty cool too. Anyways,
moving on.
So, yeah, that is Faye by Zoink Games. So let's take a break and go on to the news.
Hey everyone, Carrington here, co-host of Real Dudes Podcast. I'm here to tell you about our new affiliate, Podbean. That's right, if you're looking to get into a podcast, you can get your first month service for free. You can do so by heading to the website podbean.com/RDP or using the promo code RDP, and you can get their first month's premium service for free. They are our personal podcasting host, and we love them. We wouldn't be here talking about it if we didn't love them so much. So head on over to podbean.com/RDP or promo code RDP and get that first month service for free. And as always, have a rad day.
Do you like to rage quit? Sometimes we all do. Do you like to take a sledgehammer and smash right over your phone? Or do you like to take your phone and throw it right into your TV? How about do you like to take your phone and throw it into a fire? Yeah, we all like to rage quit sometimes. But thankfully, there's OtterBox. OtterBox offers a range of cases that fit every taste and lifestyle. Their cases use patented technology that provides superior protection for smartphones. With their innovative engineering group, dozens of patents, and robust sales and marketing teams, OtterBox is growing and expanding and plans to continue this trend. So, before you buy a phone accessory, make sure you check out OtterBox, and you can do that by going to Real Dudes Podcast /affiliates and clicking right on that OtterBox link.
We here at Real Dudes want to give a huge shout out to Guitar Man for letting us use his music on this episode. You can find more of his music on SoundCloud, and be sure to give him a follow on Twitter at IamGuitaroMan. That is GITARUMAN. Thanks, and let's get back to this episode.
And we are back with the news. That's the kind of voice I've always wanted to try out. But real quick, we don't have a whole lot as far as news is concerned. Right now, we do have a huge announcement for an indie game. Stardew Valley multiplayer beta has been announced and confirmed that the beta is coming this spring within the next couple months. Guys, are you guys excited about this as I am?
I have a question.
Yes.
Isn't it a farming game? How do you have multiplayer in a farming game?
Have you ever heard of people farming together? It's probably a weird concept, but you know.
Andrew might have a thing or two to say about that.
Yeah, you know. My dad and I farm together, so I'm sure there'd be no application for a multiplayer aspect. Okay. You know, like you go over there and chop this, and I'm going to go over here and plant this. But
yeah,
anyway.
but then you're on working on like one farm and not your separate farms. Unless it's like a co-op type thing on like your own farm.
That's what I'm assuming, yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking it's like
unless you have. Don't you get married? Well,
see, that's what. That's,
in the game.
Well,
like, aren't there relationships?
Yeah, there is. That's what I'm curious about, like how that works out when multiple people are there. But I don't know. I have no idea.
So you have one person riding or driving the combine, and the other person sitting on that person's lap.
Giggity.
Way to make it weird, dude.
It's a relationship
you have one person
game.
driving the combine.
Stardew Valley, not the farming game. It's the relationship game.
Yeah, your wife is driving the combine, and you're in front of it, running away from her. She's chasing you down.
Well, you know, there are days.
Oh.
All I gotta say is,
I've never played Stardew Valley.
With me, as long as they don't take Abigail, you know, I'm good.
Is it online co-op or is it?
Yeah, they're gonna do online co-op. Yeah, and it's across all platforms. Okay. I think Switch was going to be the first. Like, I don't know how it's gonna work out. I just know it's gonna come in spring, and let's just wait and see.
So, is it also couch co-op?
That I don't know.
Because I think that is a game my wife would enjoy.
That could be a great couch co-op if they take advantage of it. Because then you could definitely build up your farm together. I could see that working easily, and I still could see it being done even online. I mean, you could just basically be one of those deals like, hey, you know, we're going to get together on such a certain time. You shoot somebody a text and be like, we're going to go, and I could even see it. I don't know if they would want to do. I guess you could even have it just where it's like a community farm, and like if everybody can get on together, you could. All work together at the same time, or if it'd be like, hey, I'm going to hop on and I'm going to do this to the farm, type thing.
Let's know. So, as our professional farmer in the group here, Andrew, how accurate is Stardew Valley to actual farming?
Not at all.
Okay.
It was accurate to farming.
How accurate is Stardew?
Maybe, like, Stardew Valley might be accurate about farming if you were to dial back farming all the way to, like, the
Not
20s or
farming.
30s,
Okay.
like
Oh, okay.
1920s, 1930s.
BCE.
I guess that, we're getting close enough to the the 2020s that I should probably start qualifying it with that. But yeah, the 1920s or 30s. But no, it has no resemblance whatsoever to modern farming, whether it be livestock farming or grain farming or even like forestry, which is a part of the game.
Now,
Okay.
is Stardew Valley, is that, with multiplayer coming, is it cross-console or not? Cross-platform?
Ooh, that's
Can
a
it
good
switch, play
question.
with
Interesting.
PC and all that
That'd be
other
cool.
stuff? Or is it only...
I think the company that makes it, I think it's Cuttlefish. It's something fish. I can't remember right now. He has not said because it's just one guy.
Okay.
So I don't know. It just
That would
he just
be-
made-
that would be
he just
cool
made an announcement. That would be
that
really
point.
cool and definitely worth it.
Definitely worth hitting him up for an interview.
There you go.
Speaking of your wife, Kyle, we'll talk about gaming with your wife at the end of the show.
Oh, I thought you were just going to talk about my wife at the end of the show.
I gotta tease it somehow. I meant to tease it earlier, but I forgot. So. Anyway, moving on. There was a terrible, awful, but very well known game in the 90s known as
Terrible to who?
everybody. Known as Shaq Fu. And it is getting a sequel as it was kickstarted and funded, and it is on its way, and it will be here this spring. An actual date has not been released yet, but the sequel to Shaq Fu is coming. Guys, are you even excited about this?
Shaq Stew. Oh yeah,
Not even
I
remotely.
don't know what that is.
come on. It's gonna be the next Overcooked game called Shaq Stew. It's about Shaq being a ninja that also
Dude,
cooks.
Shaq wasn't even cool back when he was actually a thing, and now
What?
he's completely irrelevant.
He portrayed the greatest hero of
Kazam?
all.
Shazam?
Steel. Kazam. Are you kidding me?
At the end of the day, let's just face it, Shaq is what he is. He was a guy who was really tall, and only because of that, he was really good at basketball, not because he had a bunch of skills athletically. Otherwise, he was just over 7 feet tall, and so he could put a ball in a hoop. He had no acting ability whatsoever. It is what it is.
Well, you know what they say about tall basketball players.
They can't act.
They make really, really good rappers.
He's an amazing rapper. Sarcasm.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So that announcement is absolutely as relevant as Shaq's career at this point.
Yeah, so that's as
Well-
far as news goes. That is everything I had. I searched far and wide, up high, down low. I cannot find
Completely
anything.
non-related to gaming news then, but since we were talking about completely useless things in that last one, I'm going to throw another one out there just for fun. Fun fact, Bill Murray is actually starting I don't know if it's like Kickstarter or if it's a crowdfunding of some sort to bring back bell bottoms, but since he's the one
think I
being
saw
responsible for this, they're going to be called Bill Bottoms. Oh yes,
Heyo.
you heard it here first. It's actually a thing, I swear.
That's pretty cool. I would support that. I might support that. I think if you send me the link, I will
Oh,
donate
I'm
money
glad
to
to see
that.
you in some Bill Bottoms there, Kyle.
I'm so ready.
Oh.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
For
Now,
sure.
Kyle, would you support Shaq Fu if you had the opportunity?
Only if it was called Shaq Stew and it was the next cooking game.
You don't want a Shaq Kung Fu fighting video game in your life?
No.
Not really.
at all.
Fair enough.
Not
Fair
really.
enough. Yeah, that's all I had for news, guys. I mean, I searched high and low for stuff, but that's all I could come up with for this week.
Well, our off-topic discussions are kind of limited. We didn't have a whole lot of... to be honest, I didn't do a whole lot of research this week. So Carrington brought this to my attention. There's been a lot of Sea of Thieves beta. It's coming out soon. I think next
within
month.
the next month.
Is it March? So guys, is there a market for a game like Sea of Thieves? And will a game around co-op? Will games centered around co-op work? And I guess we'll leave it at that for right
Great
now.
question.
Yes.
Is Sea of Thieves that pirate game that's going to be coming out?
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
it's a pirate game.
Yes, it's the pirate game.
Okay.
And to
Sorry, Kyle.
It's so much
and
fun.
to answer your question, in my opinion, in the current state of the game, I do not believe it is going anywhere. Like, I don't know what they're going to release with the full game, but from playing alpha and beta, sailing on a ship, collecting treasure just to turn in to get another treasure map, and that repetitively is not going to be anything worthwhile.
Anything good. See, I've only played the alpha, and I haven't touched beta since they've made it open to public. So I don't know what big changes they've made to the
Some
game.
changes, but not enough of the overall game itself. Like they added sharks, and I think there's
solo ships,
cra-
there's duo ships.
There's Kraken. I think you can, or a Kraken you can kill.
The rum or the
actual Kraken.
I
think there's one in the game world somewhere.
Now, if they had Kraken rum in the game, would that make the game a solid 10 out of
easily,
10?
like hands down. Yeah, there isn't a whole lot that's been added since alpha, though, unfortunately. And I remember we talked with Reiner when the alpha was coming out, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't see it going anywhere." And I remember our mutual friends, did not believe him. And then after like the beta came out, and now we're like an open beta, literally nothing has changed about the game.
yeah.
But don't you think that they might leave some stuff, like quite a bit, out of the game before they
I
actually
hope
release
so.
it? I mean, they wouldn't want to beta everything within the
Yeah,
game.
but if there's no like story mode or anything to strive after, like even content creators are saying that it gets boring. And it gets boring to watch too, because they just do the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So content creators, unless there's something, they're not going to cover it, in which case the game will drop off the chart relatively quickly, I think.
It almost sounds like we have another vanilla Destiny on our hands. Like, I feel like it's going to release. There's not going to be a whole lot of content. Then a year goes by, and then the game's going to be...
Hope so. That'd be really good. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I hope
I
it
wouldn't
does
mind
well.
that.
But
So, basically, don't
Yeah,
buy
don't
it
buy
day
it.
one.
And
unless you have a definite team of 4 people that enjoy that type of game. But if you're like one person, don't buy it. It's not worth it.
Well, see, here's the thing, though, that I enjoyed when I was in alpha and beta. If you're by yourself and being teamed up with someone random, and only if they have a mic. I've had some of my best gaming moments.
Yeah. It's fun
Because-
with randoms.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And only if they have a mic, though. If they don't have a mic, it is some of the most boring thing you will ever play in your life.
Yeah.
Because I've played with people like from all over the world, like Australia and Germany, and then we just start talking, and then I've made like new people, and it's just so cool to like have that kind of relationship through this game. But if they're not talking, then that whole experience is lost.
Yeah.
I've got
I don't know.
a question. It's kind of talking about another game. It's a little bit off topic. Maybe we should legit cover this game, just FYI. But it's one I've been kind of watching here for a little bit, and I guess I really haven't brought it up, but I'm sure you guys know about it. A Way Out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't worry, we're covering that.
That's
Yeah,
another
we're
EA
covering it.
original.
We're covering it.
Okay, fair enough then. Never mind. But that game looks awesome.
Yes, it does. But like
Anyway.
back on topic, like, do you guys believe or
Which is
see
strictly a co-op game.
a market for a game like this as far as co-op is concerned?
No.
Which game? Sea of Thieves?
Sea of Thieves, yeah.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it, so I don't know.
Not for a while.
Well, Sea of Thieves, it's only Microsoft, right?
Well, it's technically a Rare game, but Microsoft it's first party because Microsoft owns Rare, yada yada yada. And I think that's the biggest thing that Sea of Thieves has going for it is just name branding alone, because Rare is making it.
Yeah. If their current beta is very similar to what the alpha was like, and they haven't had much, improvement since, I don't see this game going much. I don't see it going very far. At least within its release. Now, if they give add content to it and stuff, then maybe a year down the road it would be worth picking up. Which is so stupid to say, because it should be amazing day one. It shouldn't be give it some time, let patches come in, let DLC come in, and then pick it up.
They tried it with Destiny, and apparently it worked out because there's a Destiny 2.
Yeah,
We'll see how well that went.
Yeah, I know your feelings about Destiny.
I didn't pick up Destiny 2 because that was a dumpster fire, that first game. But
yeah, that did not have a good release.
The story of Destiny 2 is really good. It's just missing.
It's
a
missing
lot
a
of
lot.
things.
Shoulda, man. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
It's missing
I
a lot.
I don't need to hear this. Like, don't be an apologist. Come on.
That's the problem. Like I agree. Like it's missing so much. But the problem with the first game wasn't everything else. It wasn't content. It was the story. The problem with Destiny 2, it wasn't the story. It was everything else. And it's just like
content.
Yeah, they got it backwards.
Exactly. And it's just like, come on, Bungie. What are you guys doing? You guys have so much going for you. You had so much.
Had.
Yeah. So we have a question from a listener. And
Yes, we have those.
I'm gonna ask it to you guys. I'm gonna present that to everyone here. Jesse Murnahan on Twitter tweeted at us. I'll just read it to you here. I'm gonna read it in the voice I think Jesse speaks.
Do it. Oh, do it.
What,
And
does
it's
he
even
speak
better because
Klingon? Does he speak
I know him
Klingon?
personally. So this is fantastic. Yeah, you definitely should.
Do you think eventually every video game will come as a service? Example, you spend $60 to get the game, then another $20 to unlock the first chapter. Then another $20 to unlock the next chapter. Want multiplayer access? That'll be $20 as well.
Real Dudes
That's
Podcast, alienating our fans one at a time. We will not stop until they're all gone.
Till they are all gone.
No, I guess I'll tackle.
I was really trying to go for like a Yosemite Sam,
nice.
Very nice.
Type.
Very
but
nice.
that was very far between. So
I'll still
yeah,
take it.
do you think eventually every video game will come as a
Let's
service?
just go round table on this. Cody, go.
Yeah.
Andrew, go.
Nope. Carrington and I are together on this, dude. So we win. Go.
I hope not.
Is that it?
I thought we were going around the table and then we're discussing it.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
I
We
thought
can
like
run the table
initial
this first.
review and then we
Yeah.
discuss further.
I like that.
All right,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm with Carrington on this one, Andrew, so you're up.
Ooh, Andrew, yeah, go
Okay.
next. Go.
I don't care. You know, I'm always okay with hearing the sound of my own voice.
Oh,
Just saying. But no,
I like your voice too.
it's appreciated. Anyway, now that we made it weird, no, I definitely agree with Cody. I absolutely hope not. I can genuinely tell you, if that became the norm, I would not be a gamer. Like, I know there's some people that's all they do for their hobby is play video games, but I got other hobbies, and that's what I would devote my time and money and attention towards.
Yeah.
Something that's not a complete ripoff. So I don't think I just don't see it. I think that even these, the business side of the gaming industry, they're not always the most intelligent, especially because we see EA, just cannot get out of its own way. They can create such great games if they would just stop trying to be so freaking greedy. And so I guess really, and examples like that have shown, like, it has blown up in EA's face to a certain degree, and that's like taking that concept and turning it up to 11, pretty much, as far as just trying to squeeze every last dime out of people. And no, I don't think you'll see it. It's just it would kill it. I mean, your amount of people playing video games would plummet. It'd be back to like it was in like the 80s or 90s, where it's like you were considered a legit true nerd that like no one wanted to be around because you were so weird because you played video games.
Story of my life.
it's a valid point.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Cody. I'll be your friend.
So, I kind of, in a way, think that we somewhat have this to a very light degree. For for example, EA Access is a subscription to play their games. I could see that being like a stepping stone, and I think EA would be the first person to do something, or first developer company to do something like
Completely
this,
agree.
where you buy a game and then you, you know, spend $20 to unlock their multiplayer, like for Titanfall or something.
Battlefront, cough.
Battlefront, Battlefield, whatever. I could see that happening. And then especially with how streaming services are going right now, like video streaming services. We talked about Disney separating from Netflix to start their own streaming services. And so basically, the way that I'm looking at it, looking at TV, for instance, we are paying for so many different streaming services now that it's probably going to get to the point where paying for cable is going to be cheaper than paying for every streaming service.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Which, looking at it, I got rid of cable and picked up Netflix and Hulu to save money. And now they're taking Disney away. HBO's on its own thing. I feel like with the way things are going, things are going to eventually get out of control, and we're going to be paying $80 to $100 a month for our streaming services, and we're going to end up having. Go ahead.
I was just saying that's the way of things. I mean, people will go to a cheaper alternative because they want to save money, and it's usually just as good or better, or it will become better very shortly. And then everybody starts looking around like, well, there's really not much competition around, so let's start jacking up the prices, or more competition does pop up, and so that's just how you're always moving on to the next thing. They're always going to be chasing us, trying to get maximum dollars, and we're always going to be trying to run to the next person who's coming into the market.
And I could see that going with games in a way. I could see a game being a subscription service. For one, your AAA games, for the majority, are going to be 15-plus hour games. And I have a feeling that a lot of the population don't even make it halfway through the game before just turning it off. So why not pay $20 to start playing it, and then if you're truly attracted to it, you pay more and more for it, and then finish it, or you just pay your $20 and get your fix of the game, and then you're forever done with it.
I have an interesting variation question that anybody can field. Because I kind of see where you're going with this, Kyle, but what if, say, a studio, but probably wouldn't be a studio because I don't know that it'd be big enough to generate enough content, but say a group of studios would come together and package it and be like, hey, for $15 a month, let's just say $15 a month or 10 or whatever, you can have access to any games that we've ever created, like basically 24/7. There's no additional cost, but obviously you'd be getting charged that. I suppose I don't know if people would drop in and out of that or how that would work, but what do you think about that idea? Just basically having it like a Netflix, but it's only for certain studios, so you can only play certain games, but you'd have infinite access to them pretty much.
I mean, isn't that kind of like EA Access?
I don't know. I haven't used it. So is that what it is?
It's
essentially?
like Xbox Game Pass.
EA Access is
basically what
is
what you're describing. Because Xbox Game Pass is you pay a monthly subscription and you can play any game that's on that pass, no matter what the developer is.
And how's that been progressing?
It's not bad.
I personally don't have it, but it's not bad. Yeah.
I don't have it either.
From what I've heard from the people that do have it, they like it.
I did the monthly free trial and just picked up a game that I wanted to try. But I ended up canceling and deleting the game because I didn't like it. But I'm not paying for it.
I got you. I understand.
My thing is
the same way.
Because it's not a wide variety of games that I'd enjoy. It's smaller games or nitpicky games. And so I pay $15 a month for it, but that one game is $20. But then I'm still playing it and still paying for it, and then I'm paying more than what the games actually cost.
Okay, that makes sense.
I will say about the whole games of service thing, I am on the fence about it because I don't like having to I've already paid $60 for a game. I should have full access to everything already. I do feel that way. But on the other hand, when you think about it from a developer standpoint, it has become a lot more expensive to develop a game than it has been in the past, even 5 years or so. So they do need to find a way to try and make money because the game the price of games has not risen in the past 10 years or so.
Yeah.
I'm
And hopefully it stays
I
that
mean,
way.
for us as consumers, yeah, of course it stays that way. But as a developer, I mean, that sucks because if I make a game for $60 and I'm not going to get anything back from it, I'm essentially losing money.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm okay. I think that they should make you a full fleshed out game, like which unfortunately it seems to not like you used to be able to count on that, and at least it seemed like there for a period of time you could, and you can't always anymore. You know, like I said, a lot of times it is already kind of that way with certain games, like I said, that we've seen, as you say, Battlefront referenced earlier. Shoot, I'm losing my train of thought.
Well, see, I was thinking because I watch Extra Credits, which is a YouTube channel, and they think about gaming and like a philosophical standpoint, and they try and cover every and all points. And they did bring this out, and they said with inflation, a video game today should cost $90. And of course, to us, that's ridiculous. But with inflation, that's how much a game should cost right now. So they're
that's a game plus season
Yeah.
pass.
exactly, and that's essentially what that's the only way developers can truly justify trying to charge a consumer that much money.
I guess I can say I got my thought back now. It's ultimately my thought on it is if they're really generating new content and making the game like larger and like in its overall scope, then I'm okay with like them wanting to be like, okay, hey, if you want access to this, you're gonna have to pay us more money, but it has to actually be worthwhile content. And so many times these season passes and things like that, it's like, oh, it'll be a handful of multiplayer maps, a couple new weapons or whatever, or skins or whatever the case might be, depending on the kind of game, and that's it. Like it's trinkets. Like if you really want me to shell out another $20 or $30, like it better be for like new story, new missions, along with all that other stuff as well.
I can contest to a game that kind of did that, but the game didn't really receive too well. The Division, the long-time game, it did that.
Preach, brother. Preach.
You have the basic game, but then the season pass, each expansion is an add-on to the game and a full thing by itself. The underground mode, you could play that strictly by itself. Survival, resistance, and the new multiplayer, all that stuff. It does what you were describing. It builds upon the game, not just adding, here's some skins and one new area to play. It builds upon the game and creates a new experience for you to play as you create it, or as you play it. So that season pass and that game, I think, was definitely well worth it.
What was I guess my only question, because that actually does sound appealing, and yeah, I'm totally for a game like that, because I did not play it, but was the initial game, like, even though it was greatly enhanced by those additional, those additional things that had an added cost, was the standalone game itself still at least solid, or does it feel like, well, this is really rickety, and the only way it's going to be playable is if you buy all this extra stuff?
No, I believe the initial game was solid. It was buggy, and it had its issues like any other game did, and it lost a lot of its player base. But then as soon as the season pass came out and people saw that like this was worth it and people were playing it and people were getting back into it, a lot more people came back. Which I think season passes are good for, because you play it and then people move on. But if you can create something to build upon the game to bring a player base back to, I think that's well worth it.
I can agree with that, and I'll say too, like the base game for the Division, the story was great and ended on a cliffhanger, and the season pass, it didn't build on the story, but it built on the game, which I can applaud it too. And I think Ubisoft as a company, no matter if you love them or hate them, I think as a games as service type of games that they've come out with in recent years, it seemed to have worked so far. Cody, you brought out the Division, and Ghost Recon Wildlands is another game that they've continued to build upon, and Rainbow Six Siege is another one that I mean, they just had international tournament for Rainbow Six Siege, and
That
and
was
it's because
super
of,
cool.
It was amazing, yeah, and so Ubisoft has done a really good job that doesn't get a lot of love for what they're doing within the media, and I think we should start applauding. And even with Mario and Raving Rabbits and the DLC with that, it wasn't just skins and stuff; it was new content, it was new levels. It was they seem to continue and have a philosophy that we should applaud and praise.
I'd agree. I guess my issue though, and I'm not telling like anybody, like, you know, you guys, that's a very valid like stance, and so I know sometimes I take issue with certain other people's opinions, but I don't have a problem with that. I just know from myself and my personal experience, I don't know how common it would be to other people's experiences, but I like can honestly, the only real game I can remember like the extra content, like the season pass being truly worth it in my eyes, was my standby Borderlands 2. Like that's the only game I have played in like a long time, if possibly ever, that I really felt like, wow, like this extra money is totally worth it. And every other instance when I did a season pass, I totally felt like I got ripped off in the end, because either like I played the game and it took so long for them to release the rest of the content that I had just like walked away and was just I was either unwilling or just, you know, whatever. They could not pull me back in. I'm not one of those people that like, I'll read something cool about it online and be like, oh, I'll just jump back in. And I could be an isolated case, but by and large, like if they take months and months to really release the you know, some more good stuff, like I'm not coming back. It's just that simple. But I don't know.
That's another company I think that deserves praise too. Gearbox and 2K. Because it's not. I mean, they have a couple franchises out there right now that they take care of their games after they're released, and I think and it's just so unfortunate that negative news goes much farther than positive. Mm-hmm. Just look at EA and Battlefront and everything, and just not just Battlefront, but just their company and their philosophy alone. And I heard, and I did, so I watch a lot of YouTube. There's people that I watch, and quite a few gamers. This one comes from Node and Brandon specifically. He's part of that group of people that game and stuff. He is friends with someone at EA. He said he was out to drink with someone higher up at EA. And he said, you know, we really, and this is after the whole Battlefront 2 debacle. And he said this dude was just so distraught. He says, you don't know how many meetings we've had about this and how hard we worked on it, yada, yada, yada. And to just see the bad media come out of it, like he was literally distraught about it. So even though EA doesn't have it, they're still trying. So they get some points, but they don't get full credit. But I think Ubisoft and 2K and Gearbox should deserve full credit when it comes to games as a service type platform.
I want to go drinking with a developer. That'd be cool.
I know, right?
I'm sorry, that's what I got out of your point, but that would be, yeah, I agree. But that drinking with a developer would be cool.
Node is pretty big. Like they get invited to stuff all the time. I'm just like, come on, guys. I love you guys, but I want to be that eventually.
Shout out to Wraith Games. If you're ready to do a launch party.
Yeah, so I got to hang out with Wraith Games, the local indie developer here not here, I'm in Dayton, but they're in Hamilton, Ohio, which is not too far from here. I got to hang out with them a few days ago, and yeah, it was super cool. It was awesome. They have their own studio that's in the middle of remodeling.
Nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. But their studio's in the middle of remodeling, so they went from like a tiny room the size of the room I'm in right now to having like several offices and things like that, which is really cool, I think.
Just want to point out, Carrington, nobody knows the size of the room you're in right now.
Fair enough. It's
really
probably
not a good frame of reference.
It's probably about 8 by 9, I'd say.
Seeing as you've never had anybody to your new apartment.
I know no one's been here yet, but it's coming. Don't worry. But yeah, it was just super cool, and that they actually how's this? The philosophy that they have, that CEO and lead developer of the games there that they're doing, they don't believe in things like DLC and things like that. So, so the games they do come out with, whatever they will be, I'm not going to mention anything because I promised them I wouldn't.
NDA.
That's very good.
NDA?
I didn't sign anything, but I did promise them I wouldn't say anything.
Shut up, Cody. We don't want to lose this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's go drinking with the developers
be cool.
and then spoil their game.
Exactly. They invited us to their launch party, to a game called Calypsis, which I can say that, which he would update me, but it would be within a month or two. So you do have the opportunity, Cody, and we can just work our way up to EA. You know.
All right, let's do it.
In the famous words of Drake, started from the bottom. Now I'm here.
Just get out.
All right.
Get out.
So yeah, we should wrap up on that. Other than one other little thing.
How's your wife?
Cody, we've talked about this. Context.
How's gaming with your wife?
Well, hey, there you go. For her, stressful.
Okay. So let's just talk about this. What games did you play with her first of all?
Super quick recap, maybe for somebody who hasn't heard the previous episode.
Previous episode. So if you haven't heard it, go listen to it. Anyways, no.
Wow.
Rude much?
I gave up gaming for a week.
Why?
It was hard. It's difficult. I thought I was going to lose my mind. No, it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because my wife proposed a challenge of not playing games for a week. So I said, all right, you're on. And I told her that she had a game with me the next week after that. And she went to her parents' house that next week. So she didn't do it that week.
Are you serious? Lame.
So, but we did play games when she got back. And her favorite is Overcooked. And I kind of figured that was going to happen. It stressed her out though, and that game stresses me out, so I could understand that. But she did really good. It was kind of funny because while we were playing, I would sit there and look out of the corner of my eye and look at her face, and it was so intense. And just I don't know. It was just funny, just watching her play, and she liked it. Her favorite level was the one where it splits in half down the middle where you're making burgers. Same as mine, which I really enjoyed. I'm trying to really think because it's been a few days.
I will say this, Kyle. I do want to ask you this real quick.
Okay.
Now, after playing Overcooked, which is kind of, can be stressful and can be, highly intense situations, how is your marriage?
Good.
Okay.
We survived.
Okay, good. That's the most important thing first.
We were still happy at the end of the night, so it was good. And I plan on keeping this routine going. So maybe as time goes on, we can just add this on to the end of each episode and talk about different games I've tried out with her.
I can get on board with that.
Sounds good.
I almost think it'd be funny to just have her review a game for me, and then I'll just recite her words, and then see what she would give the game, and then just kind of throw that in there at the end.
I think it'd be cool to have her and Brianna on the show just for like a quick bit. Brianna being Andrew's wife.
Of what they think about video games.
That'd be cool.
Breeze,
I know.
she's a gamer chick, so she'd fit right in.
They're gonna butt heads when it comes to this.
But I just wanted
because I still don't think I don't think that she appreciates games still. So
it's a start, it's a start.
Yeah. So maybe it's something that we'll have to build up, but that would be definitely really cool.
I feel like, because I have been to your house, Kyle, multiple times. I do feel like even though your daughter isn't ready to game just yet, I feel like she's going to be because she loves grabbing the controller.
Yeah. And slinging that Pro Controller across the room.
That too.
Yeah.
Is that a plug for the durability of the Switch Pro Controller?
Yes. We are now a proud sponsor.
Sponsor us, Nintendo, please.
Oh, please.
Just saying,
So yeah, I
too proud to beg.
Nintendo, help me get into Nintendo. Sponsor us.
And drink with you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I kind of want to revisit this in the future and update give you guys updates.
Let's do it, man. Let's make it a new segment on the show.
Gaming with Yen. Anyways.
Who's Yen?
So that's the end of our show. Huh?
Who's Yen?
Isn't that Japanese currency?
That's Japanese currency. Yeah, we can go buy things with it.
So it's like going
shares of
to an arcade
Nintendo.
in Japan. Gaming with Yen. So that's it. That's all that we have got for this episode. Let me take a look at my show notes real quick just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. And I think we're good. You, as a listener, can do us 2 huge favors. 1, you can subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app. 2, you can leave us a comment on said podcast app. And I personally try to keep track of especially on Podbean comments.
Speaking of comments,
and try
Kyle,
to reply to them.
We did get a comment on our most recent mini episode with Ian Dallas.
I saw that.
So shout out to Phil for commenting, and he just applauded us for not spoiling the game What Remains of Edith Finch within that interview, and applauded us for the interview itself as well. So if you do leave a comment, we do read them, and we will read them on the show.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We'll start reading them on the show. That's a good idea. So yeah, leave us a comment, subscribe. You can check us out on the interwebs at, first our website, www.realdudespodcast.com. We have all of our social media links on that website. So Twitter, at realdudes_pod. Leave us a comment. We get back to you. We want to chat with you and talk to you online and just, talk about games. Facebook, Real Dudes Podcast, Instagram, Real Dudes Podcast. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, you can check us out at patreon.com/realdudespod. And, you do get a chance to get a free wristband, if you do sign up for our Patreon, which is really cool. And then lastly, if we want to answer your questions on the show, email us, podcast@realdudspodcast.com. And keep an eye out for our Twitch channel because we are trying to do more with it and less with YouTube.
And I did release a vlog as of this recording yesterday, so you can check it out at twitch.tv/realdudespod.
Like today, or Monday today?
As far as what is today, 2/22, as of 2/21/2018.
Okay.
I talked about the process
Sweet.
of how we get our interviews because we have big guests, we got small guests, we got all kinds of guests.
Oh yeah. And a week from today, we will have our interview with Phil Moore, the host of Nick Arcade. Just tease that.
And he was probably one of my personal favorite guests to have, just because of how enthusiastic he was.
Now,
one of.
We love all of our guest characters.
When we go
Way
meet
to
with
make it.
Reiner, this is going to be really awkward.
I would say
he's going to be like, get out. It's like the rest of you three, you're
I wouldn't
cool,
say
but you
the
get
favorite,
out.
but one of my favorites. How's that?
Okay. That's fair enough.
Every interview we have, every guest we have on the show, you're all our favorite.
Yeah.
So you
Exactly.
guys
You're
Yeah.
10 out of
listen to
10.
10
out of
He
10.
doesn't speak for us.
Yeah. All right.
And if you,
But Phil Moore was a 12 out of 10.
yes, no, no.
All right. Yeah, guys. Everyone, have a rad day.
Ciao.
Later.